Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today let's go over the market, because what a doozy of a day today, that's for sure. My goodness. So today, like I said, it was a very important day. Unfortunately, not in a good way. Because yeah, the Fed was speaking today, right? FOMC, they raised rates by 75 basis points, which was expected. But then after Powell's speech, he started at 2:30. Things pretty much went straight south, more or less, since then and throughout the course of it and after as well. As you can see, just we get a disgusting red candle over here on the market. So let's talk about it, guys. Is this bad? Is it all over? Are we just crashing to new all-time lows, or what's happening here, right? Let's talk about it. If you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. So I want to make it very clear, by the way, none of this is financial advice. Make your own research. Do your own make your own decisions, do your own research, all that stuff. But let's talk about it. So Tesla down almost 6%, ending the day at pretty much $215, right? So pretty wild stuff, considering we were just at, well, the peak was at least 237. So from the recent peak, which was literally just yesterday, we've already dropped 10%, which is quite a bit. But let's talk about it, right? What does this all mean moving forward? So I personally don't think it's all over just yet. I really don't think it's all over just yet. And I'll give you guys several reasons. Now, obviously, the bearish aspect is the fact that, well, it's a pretty bearish looking candle. We did obviously get rejected at these levels up here, so we can never really truly get a nice closure above 230, right? We fell out of this ascending channel, which is, not great. To be fair, it is a small ascending channel. It's not like a massive one. It's only like for like a few days, right? So it's not like a crazy ascending channel that, usually will follow up with some insane downward pressure potentially. But, nonetheless, we did fall out of it. That's not great, right? So those are like the main bearish things, in my opinion, right? The market itself just obviously falling out of those trends and everything as well. But there are, of course, definitely some things that I'm seeing that are actually good, that are potentially bullish, at least for the short term. So let's talk about those, right? The first thing I want to quickly point out is the fact that, for instance, on QQQ, right, compared to the QQQ, Tesla is essentially performing in line. But you can see we have a potential inverted head and shoulders here setting up. As you can see, the shoulder, head, shoulder, right? So that's a potential thing to look forward to, right? Again, it's, we want to pretty much bounce pretty much more or less right at this level. But, that is a possibility. So that's number one of the bullish sign. Number two of the bullish thing is the fact that the markets, and the market in general today, is extremely red, right? Like pretty much like everything here is red. Everything. Literally everything is red. However, like the market itself, like the actual indices, right? SPY is down 2.5%, QQQ is down 3.5%. Like those are some decent drops for the day, right? IWM 3.3%, even the Dow Jones, right? However, with that being said, and I've said this before, you guys have, I'm sure are realizing this before, or, noticing this pattern, if you will. The VIX is barely green. It's barely moved. It is up 0.54% on such a day, right? The market is just completely... where did my lines go? Did I remove my drawings? I don't know what happened. That's weird. I don't know where my drawings went. I had the drawings on the VIX and they're just pretty much all gone. Whatever. Anyways, the point is the fact that the VIX is barely green. It's a green 0.6%, which is hardly anything on a market day that's falling like 3%. Average, like 2.5 for SPY, again 3.5 for QQ. Let me just say 3% average between the two, right? Pretty much all the major stocks are pretty red. Like Apple 4% is a decent amount, even Disney 4%, Google 4%, right? Some pretty massive red days, like Amazon 5%, Tesla almost 6%, right? So the fact that we have this much blood in the streets, and then the VIX is pretty much flat for the most part, like it's barely green at all, to me, like I said before, is a little suspicious. Actually, it was actually red the majority of the day too, I believe. It just went green like the last couple of minutes or whatever, or like 20 minutes of the market. That to me is a little bit suspicious in a bullish way, actually, because usually when, again, the VIX is following the market, that's usually not a good sign. So if we're following the VIX is essentially flat and especially red, that's kind of a bait in my opinion. It's a bear trap. And the flip is true as well, right? So that's number one. That's, in my opinion, kind of bullish. Number two, the volume is definitely on the lower end today on a pretty, substantial red day, especially on an FOMC day. That's pretty good. The fact that the volume is lower on the red day, that's a good sign as well. I do like to see that. Again, the inverted head and shoulders on the QQQ, I do like to see that. And on top of that, we can also go ahead and take a look. If we were to retrace, if we were to have this little rally up here, which currently is obviously, the short-term top potentially, right? What is the potential retracement down, right? What makes just sense to retrace down to before potential bounce? Well, you can see we did pass right by the 0.5, which isn't great. So the 0.6, in my opinion, is the last chance, or the last meaningful chance, which is 213. So as long as we can bounce off of this 213 and not go really lower than 213 on Tesla, I'm personally still saying that there is an okay chance that we get a decent reversal, potentially even still go a little bit higher before ultimately, in my opinion, potentially still going overall a little bit, or just lower in general, making potential new lows. So that's kind of what I'm seeing at the very moment, right? Another thing you could potentially argue is the fact that, okay, well, now that we dropped out of this channel, which, you know, we obviously have, maybe we'll come up to retest it, right? Maybe we'll come up all the way up to like this kind of, you know, 235-ish area and retest it. What would that cause? Well, that's going to pretty much cause a double top, because what we could potentially do here is we can come up here, come down here like this, like I said, potentially come up somewhere around here again, and then retrace down, right? And create a double top. That's also a potential which will kind of line up with the retest of this. To make it a little more clear, it could be something like this, right? Something like that, for instance, could also happen. So we'll see. It's hard to say for sure, but ultimately, even though this is a pretty bad day and it's not like the most obvious bullish thing in the entire world by any means, I'm not personally losing all hope yet. Just yet, because again, I still think that there is an actually decent chance at a bit of a reversal, and this is a bit of a bear trap. Because on top of this, guys, there's been plenty of times before where after like the Fed FOMC meetings and, you know, Jerome Powell speaks, etc., and we get those like nice green rallies, and to finish off the day, it's like all green, everyone's like all happy, they're like, hell yeah, it was priced in. And then the next couple of days is just an absolute plummet. It completely wipes out that green and probably then some, right? That's happened several times before, and you know, who's to say the flip cannot be true as well, where instead of having a massive green day and then like just a complete plummet, we have a massive red day to get all the bears worked up, get a massive bear trap, and then a rally. That's just kind of what I'm seeing. Now, I did sell my small account fully out. Unfortunately, I did sell for profit, but it ended up going from a pretty, you know, okay profit to essentially non-existent. But, you know, profit nonetheless. And the reason I sold is because just in case it doesn't actually work out, I can buy lower, right? And I will be buying at a lower price, especially if it comes back down to 204 on the smaller account. My main account, I did sell those calls I talked about yesterday. I did buy them back today, pretty much 50% off. Unfortunately, too early. I didn't think we'll drop this hard, I'll be honest. So this kind of caught me off guard. I didn't think we'd go just straight down like this. We did. So unfortunately, I bought back too early. Could have made a little bit more, but at least I made some money, realized profits on this drop from the shares on my main account that I hold on Tesla. Made even a few, like $3,000, which I will take. That's not too bad at all if I do say so myself. So at least there's some positive there. Obviously, overall, I am net down because the shares outweighed my, realized gains on the sold calls. But nonetheless, it's better than nothing, of course, right? So that's kind of the way I'm viewing it at the very moment. So I definitely want to see how tomorrow plays out. I definitely think tomorrow might be either flat or reversal. And if not, then Friday could be the reversal date. And that's kind of what I'm expecting at the very moment. But again, it could all completely fall apart. Again, I could be completely wrong, right? This is a very difficult market to navigate through. So just keep that in mind, guys. But again, it just wouldn't surprise me if we potentially bounce more or less where we are right now, maybe go down another point or so, and then pretty much get a bounce off of that, and then get a potential rally to, at the very least, maybe retest this breakdown from this little wedge that we just came out of, right? So that's definitely a possibility. But overall, sum it all up, I personally think this might be a pretty glorious bear trap. Could be wrong. Could be completely wrong. However, something's telling me that this might be a bear trap. Again, the VIX just pretty much non-existent on such a red day. Very suspicious to me. And again, on the daily, you can see as we're falling, we are actually still doing fairly okay, right? The market, the RSI is still higher than these levels up here, even though the stock is actually falling lower. So that's a good sign as well. The daily is still looking fairly healthy. It is pointing straight down, but it's still above the median, and it's still making overall potential higher lows over here, even though the stock is falling lower than these highs over here, which is, ultimately not a bad sign either. And I think this is something to probably scare a lot of people that are just using a little too much emotion. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's some parts of this is a little spooky to me too, because I'm like, man, I really just don't want to sit here and just watch this thing crash to like 150, and that would suck, right? That would suck. I'd rather be all cash when that happens, kind of thing, right? So I'm not gonna lie, parts of this sometimes scare me as well. Like, I'm not some professional crazy best trader or whatever, technical analyst, whatever in the world. Yeah, I make mistakes as well, and sometimes, I let my emotions get control of me as well, but I try my best not to, and I think this is a scenario where I'm trying my best not to. I'm just trying to look at the facts and what I'm seeing, and I'm personally seeing that this potentially might be a bear trap. We'll see if that's true or not. I think tomorrow could give us a good idea as well, but ultimately, that's my current guess, bear trap. We'll see what happens with it. But thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.